Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the perfected version of my chuck it and fuck it build for Rafa. So I'm going to go through everything that we need to go through, but I am going to show you just very briefly the boss damage it can do, the ad control it can do, the clearing it can do, completely keeping your action skill up constantly forever, as well as just killing absolutely everything. So let's just pop this, get a little bit of movement speed. Pop you, so you're just starting to do critical. So you can see just alone the actual action skill is incredible. But then we introduce the chuck, which can just be, you know, as its namesake, chucked. So this will do incredible amounts of damage. You can actually just kill bosses with this straight up with just these two without even using a grenade that we're going to use. But you can see we could just fly around, spin around, throw in our chucks, throw in our action skill damage out. Monica, you up there? What are you doing up there? And the action skill just stays forever. Just literally stays forever. A little bit of shield on an enemy can be a bit of a problem for the chuck, but not dramatically where you have to really worry about anything else. So pretty goddamn cool build in my opinion. And we're about to see the bosses come out, which means we'll see some boss damage. So we're just going to run up here. We're going to throw out our fire pots like so. And then we should see them all just die pretty much straight away. Oh, they're surviving. I guess they wasn't in the range of the grenades, which is a shame, but we can finish them off. We can throw out another grenade, and then we can die, because, you know, silly stuff. Whee! And that's it. That's the build. It's incredible, and probably the most fun I've had with a build in this entire game. On every single class I've tried, every single build that I've tried, and believe me, there's been a lot of failures when it comes to builds. This is the one that I kind of made right for the first time. Didn't look at anything online, just sat, looked through absolutely everything, tried and tested loads of different things, and then finally got it to the place where I want it to be. And as you can see, my action skill is still up and going, so pretty goddamn incredible. So what are we doing here? The chuck itself is the weapon we're going to use. So you want the roll with TDR replicator homing, so it throws two guns that track people. I have a farm on my channel on how to duo farm practice to get this roll, so I'll link that down below if I remember. And then that's how you get chuck. That's the main part of this gun. I only have another weapon on in case I run out of ammo. The SDUs are important to have. I haven't ran this Rafa enough to get any more SDU points, but even at just 5 out of 7, I've still got enough ammo just to keep me going. Right, next up we have the feisty Grenazerka, which for me is incredible. So when Rafa throws a grenade or TDR gun, he throws an additional one. So the two that we already have now becomes free with the class mod. So we're throwing out 3 chucks at a time. Then with our enhancement Digi Divider, guns with TDR licensed parts have a 50% chance to spawn an additional projectile on reload. So you're going to throw out 3 or 4 chucks every single time you throw one out. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that has assault rifle damage or gun damage or damage dealt. So I'm very happy that my class mod actually had damage dealt by 20% and gun damage by 30%, which both go together well with the chuck. Shield, up to you what you put on. I just went with a turtle shield. You know, I haven't found anything that's specific to this build which will help. But the grenade ordnance that we are using is the fully loaded fire pot, which I'll also link down below so you can find out how to get this. And I went with overflow so that my maximum grenade charge is increased by 1. So thanks to the class mod, we also get a second grenade. So every time you're throwing out a fire pot, which is the most powerful grenade in this game, you're throwing out 2 of them. With 3 charges of them, you're throwing out 6 of them. If you can get it underneath a boss like I just failed to do, you're going to absolutely wipe them out. Now, the firmware is something that took me a very long time to figure out because drops and stuff were so rare, but I finally got everything that I needed. So we start with our get throw-in perk. So ordnance damage is increased by 10% for that boss damage. Splash radius is increased by 20%, which I assume helps the chuck out. But the reason why I did 3 out of 3 for get thrown is because grenades and TDR throwing guns have a 50% chance to spawn homing missiles that home in on nearby enemies, so an extra projectile that's flying out. We then went with gadgets ahoy, so ordnance cooldown duration is reduced by 15% because you want those grenades back quicker, and the damage increased by 20%. So I just straight up went for both of these because they felt really good. So if I throw this out now, you can see that there's an extra little thing that pops out underneath. And that's a homing missile. So not only are the trucks homing 4 of them, you're going to get a 5th projectile sometimes as well. So you are just absolutely annihilating enemies with this. Right, so let's go in and look at our skill tree. So if you did not know, overdrive basically gives you a buff to damage, movement speed, and it has a duration of X amount of time, but with different perks you can make that last longer and you can double the damage. So this is why I have built into this, because you could do some stupid things. So our action skill is obviously Peace Breaker Cannons. You see them on my shoulder shooting at things. Our augment is Instinto. So the Peace Breaker Cannons gain increased critical chance. Pressing LB while you have them active will cause them to have critical hit chance and critical hit damage, but it will also drain your action skill bar faster. However, with everything we've got, you'll be able to just keep it up forever. So kill skill, killing an enemy causes Rafa to restore action skill duration, while also causing his action skill duration to drain faster. So essentially what that means is that when you actually point it at someone and tell it to kill, it will replenish on every kill, but then after that is replenished, it will drain faster than it was previously. However, like I said, we're going to keep it up forever. You can see all the stats down there in the bottom left. We have our capstone as Rafa's Peacebreaker Cannons are replaced with shotguns that deal increased damage and have an increased pellet count, which means that each pellet can count as a critical, I believe. So additionally, Rafa's turrets gain a chance to ricochet off targets, which we're not using. So, you know, just the best capstone that we have available with this build. So we're going to start over here in the red tree, and we're going to end in the red tree because everything is in my red tree. So we're going to start here with Sitiar, which is Rafa gains increased gun damage, which is just great across the board. We have Huega, which is whenever Rafa critically hits an enemy, action skill duration is restored. So with all the crits that we're building up through the capstones and augments, this will be able to replenish your action skill, which, you know, we've seen is going to get lower and lower, faster and faster. Then we have field repairs. Whenever Rafa activates an action skill, he restores a portion of his maximum shield capacity. If his shields are already full, he gains overshield. So this has like a bit of survivability tied into it as well. So we have Sia, kill skill. Killing an enemy restores shields based on Rafa's maximum health capacity. If we're playing this right, you should never, ever, ever, ever have low health. So your shields are just going to be constantly up and replenished. We have El Valiente. So Rafa deals increased damage from all sources. The fuller his shields are, the greater the bonus. While Rafa's shields are at maximum capacity, double the bonus. So we can have up to 30% increased gun damage. You're not going to stay at full shield, but you know, you're going to often be replenishing it so that you're potentially at full shield. We have Rafa increases skill damage with Maestro, which is fantastic. Then we go over to asymmetric warfare, which is the most important perk for this build, and that's indirect projectiles gain increased damage. Indirect projectiles include all action skill weapons, thrown guns, which is a chuck, and projectiles not fired from your gun. I don't know whether the homing missile counts for that last part, but in general, you're getting 45% extra damage with the chuck, which is unbelievable. Then we have Errant Spark, so all indirect projectiles deal bonus incendiary damage. If the projectile is already incendiary, double it. So just the chucks are going to do a little bit of extra damage. Then we have Lateral Plinking. Rafa's indirect projectiles gain a chance to ricochet. I don't think this works with the chuck, however, I just kept it on because there's typically no other perk I want to put that point into. Potentially Venganza, so whenever Rafa's shields break after being fully recharged, spawn a free grenade. Not that important in my opinion. You could toss one into here with your class mod if that's up to you, but our class mod does give us Rafa's ordnances deal bonus damage in his current gun's element, which it doesn't have an element unless this is specifically tied to it. I don't know, but there's not much I can do about the class mod and the perks that it puts on for me. Then we go over here to the right, which is Everdrive. Overdrive gains increased duration, so even though it's supposedly going down faster and faster and faster, you're going to be keeping it up forever. We have Overdrive skill. Rafa gains increased gun damage but decreased gun handling for each stack of Temeraria, I don't know. Rafa gains a stack every second Overdrive is active, losing all stacks when Overdrive ends. So Overdrive is going to be active forever. So these stacks are going to keep coming up. You can have a plus 50% gun damage over time. You do not need the gun handling because you are just throwing the chuck out. So that is just unbelievable. Then we have Kill Skill. Double all Overdrive bonuses for a duration of 8 seconds. So all the extra buffs we're getting here, so you're going to get increased damage, movement speed. Every time you get a kill skill, it will double it up, and that will last 8 seconds. So pretty goddamn phenomenal build in my opinion. Then we go over to specializations. So for me, I went 20 into Survivor, I've gone 11 into brute for some reason. I don't know why I went 10. Maybe I'm just throwing in some extra points. And then we went 10 into gadgeteer because we need specific perks from specialization. So I went with the couple of survivor perks right now. I'm probably going to build into something else, but the Vault Hunter gains increased damage reduction based on the fullness of their shield or health, whichever has the highest maximum capacity. So shield, as we're getting it and pushing it back up and getting all the buffs to get the shield and overshield, we're going to have damage reduction, some more survivability, and then we have the Vault Hunter gains increased damage dealt based on the fullness of their shield or health, whichever has the maximum capacity. So if we get that damage reduction, we're also getting that damage dealt bonus, which is incredible. Then we have reduce ordnance cooldown whenever action skill is activated. So, you know, if we don't have our grenades up at the start of our action build, we're going to get our grenades back quicker, which is great. And then we have full spectrum arsenal. Ordnance damage now benefits from increases to gun damage. Ordnance damage 50% of increases to gun damage. So all the extra buffs we're putting onto our character would affect ordnance damage as well. Woo, that's a lot of stuff that I just said. I love this. I actually love as well the Chuck being phosphine. I love this on the Chuck because the Chuck's such a big meaty gun. It just looks incredible with this skin. So just to show off a boss kill, I'm just going to go in and kill Varaxis because it's pretty much the only boss I have unlocked on this character. So you can just see that if we just throw out these like so, it's pretty much going to be an instant kill. Once all the bombs start to go off, there we go. Absolutely unbelievable single target damage. It just is. And then I've already got grenades back as well, so unreal. That's the video anyway. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure if you build this build and you're excited for it, let me know down in the comments, because this is like the first build that I've really stuck my teeth into and thought, this is how this works, this is how I'm going to get this to work. And then when I farmed absolutely everything, nothing was given to me. I'm very, very proud of this build. Thank you for watching. I've been Easy. Now you guys have been awesome.